So, afternoon, everybody. We are discussing Conex Portal, the portal for engineering, design and manufacturers for UK progressive manufacturers and SMEs. So I'm going to go around the room. I'll introduce myself, Adam Payne. I've got a multiple small business owner. As you can see, I've got Factory IQ, which is digital manufacturing software. Casper, introduce yourself, tell us a little about your business, what you do.
Hi there, thanks for having us today. So I'm Casper Kruger, I'm the Managing Director at Structure Evolution, and we sort of are a new design consultancy started in September 2020, and we specialize in product development, and our key selling point is complex analysis and product development. So when our clients normally come to us when they have a issue where they can't resolve themselves, or they need to branch into a more complex material like composites or plastics, and that's where we can step in and support. Our markets are wide. We are not limited by market, but we do specialize in the civil and the energy market, subsea, oil and gas, renewable energy, and with an emphasis on composites, where a lightweight corrosion resistance might help. But it's mostly based around the analysis side of things.
Excellent. Yinch.
Hi, my name is Yinch. My company is Playco, and we are software developers. We are mainly interested in helping clients solve their problems, and to that end, we have always made sure that we are familiar with all the new technologies. We have delivered mobile apps, server side, front end side, web stuff. But most recently, we've been working in virtual reality, which is partly how we came in contact with Sam. We are using virtual reality in training, simulation, and collaboration. And we really believe that it is a tool for the future that will have like many benefits, making things cheaper, easier, and faster to do. And also with certain green side effects of having being able to limit travel and material usage. So I'm very excited to be here today to be speaking with Sam and Adam and to meet Casper as well, because it's through collaboration that I think lots and lots of future benefits will arise from working together rather than necessarily having to make new things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to come back a little bit on the VR later, aren't we, Sam? I think we'll return to that.
Indeed.
Sam, go on then.
Yeah, so again, thank you very much for having us on here, Adam. Interesting, in your introduction, you mentioned the word progressive, which fits very nicely with obviously the two guys we've got here and the whole ethos around Conex. So yeah, there's loads to talk about. I could go on for hours about what we're doing with Conex and how it works. We're obviously not going to be able to cover everything, but what we kind of want to focus on today is the smaller SMEs, how we're trying to level the playing field between them. So Conex is essentially a relationship-based platform, so to enable connections across the manufacturing space, across the UK manufacturing network, I should say. So we build relationships with our members. We learn exactly how they work, how they operate, what they're looking to achieve out of their business, essentially, and then we go out there and do whatever they need us to do, basically. So we form collaborations, we make introductions, we work on projects with them, whatever it may be. We're there to support. Obviously, I want to focus a bit more today on leveling that playing field. So obviously, we work with very small SMEs right up to the larger companies to enable them to collaborate and work together, because that's something that is really missing. These massive companies looking to outsource to smaller guys, and they just don't know where to look and they don't know how to do it, and that's something that we're focusing quite heavily on, and making sure they're not forgotten. There's a lot of companies out there, and there's a lot going on, especially in the UK manufacturing space, and I feel we need to shout a little bit louder and help them out where we can. I've been there in my past businesses and past experiences. I know the pain of it. I know what it's like. So whatever we can do to support, we're going to do, basically. So as I said, all about the relationships, putting that first and making sure everyone's getting enough value out of what we're offering at the end of the day.
Superb. And I'm going to come back to something that you just said in a bit as well, so because I've just had a thought as well around this. So Casper Inch, Casper, if you want to go first, I want you to really expand upon what you found with being a member of Conex. You've been out there with a number of membership organisations. We might not mention those. It's up to you. I ain't bothered. give us your thoughts around Conex.
So I spoke to Sam way before I even started the company once, and it was through his CAD company, and sort of started talking, and Conex came up, and it sounded really interesting. And in 2020, the opportunity arose, and I started my own company, and it was always in the back of my head, and I went straight back to Sam, became an early adopter, and it's just been as a director only company for my first year actually at the minute. I had so much interaction with other Conex Portal members, and I remember the very first, I would say, a month already connecting with someone. I quoted the job, and it's sad stagnant for certain reasons, but it's now one of my first projects that's live, and I'm working with one of the other Conex people, adopters, and it's brilliant. They had a concept, it's been sort of modeled in, it's been really cleverly thought out, but it needed a bit of structural engineering done on it and a bit of fine tuning, and they brought me in before they actually make the product. So it fitted very well. And the thing with Conex is there's a lot of small little 1 or 2 people, SMEs, or a bit more bigger, but they need this key specialist skill, and that's where we can tap in. Or me as a structural consultancy only, I now have manufacturing capability, so I can go out and say, I got this project, and I can sell the whole kit and caboodle, and I can just go to Sam and say, oh, by the way, I need to do this, and this. And it's also, I'm not limited to one material as a manufacturer. I can go and design to my heart's content, and whatever fits the product the best, I can go then to Sam. So I've looked at these processes, I think I want to try this one, can you put me in contact with someone? And he's on LinkedIn, he's on WhatsApp, he's all via email, and is that sort of person-to-person connection to someone else, which has been fantastic. And as you mentioned, I have, as a small SME, signed up to a couple larger groups, and I was just lost in the noise, to be honest. I'm still too small to make a dent in some of the larger consultancies. So what I found was I fit in as a puzzle piece into larger consultancies as well. So they will need that sort of specialist composite design for manufacture and analysis type of capability, and I would just slot in there. So I think what would be nice is as Conex grows, that the larger consultancies come in and they will sort of draw up some of the more specialized smaller SMEs. Yeah. But I found it's weight in gold, honestly. It's been fantastic.
And I think that's one of the key things that I've noticed with it is that it's the collaboration, regardless of what size, and that with that collaboration and with that community is this ability to be able to pull and push and rely on others. So it's all of a sudden expanded out your knowledge base, expertise, and the service and products that you can give, and in supporting your clients, which is what I've found. Yinch, yourself?
I'm very fresh to the manufacturing space. My software company has been around a little while, but as I was exploring the uses and domains for virtual reality and also augmented reality to a certain degree, it became clear that one of the really sort of useful areas that virtual reality could help in was in manufacturing and product design. And so, being a software person with much more history in web development stuff, I was thrilled to discover that Conex Portal existed, because Sam's the thing that I've learned slowly over the many years of my business was the importance of relationships in absolutely everything, the importance of networks that build relationships. And when I met Sam, I saw that he absolutely was driven by the belief in the importance of trustworthy relationships, and that he was interested in connecting people together, which was exactly what I needed. And to be honest, I wasn't absolutely certain what to expect at the first Zoom meeting he organized that I attended after when Conex went online. But in that first Zoom meeting that I attended, just from the people who were attending the meeting, you could see the innovators in the room. The hit rate, the conversion rate of people who were talking out of the same mindset, even if they weren't talking about the same subject, was just extraordinarily high. I think there were maybe 40 people or 37 people, and there were people in that conversation that were absolutely understood what I was saying about VR. They carried the ball the rest of the way, if that made sense. And very often when I've met other groups of people, I've done other webinars for other people, it was much harder to get traction in their minds. They would say, "Oh, but there's all sorts of reasons not to do it." But in that one meeting that Sam organized for the Conex Portal the first time round, there were lots of people who basically said, I know how to use it. I need to speak to you. And so that very first meeting proved the quality of the relationships that Sam had brought into the network, which was fantastic. So I love working with him. It's always ongoing. He's never shy to try out ideas. In fact, I have to say, often I'll tell him, "Oh, let's try this little idea." He says, "No, turn it up 10 times." So he is sort of ambitious in a way which I find incredibly sort of inspiring. I'm going to use the word inspiring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the thing is that, and I suppose it comes back to both you and Casper. What you were saying there is that there is, regardless of size of business, you are all treated equally. And this, what I've found is within particular organisations, is that there is a clique, and I'm not in with the click side, but it's a level playing field here. And that's what Sam and the rest of the team has built and is building, that community side where we are all equal regardless of size, and what we're trying to do is progress and move forward, and that's the thing. So Sam, coming now back to you.
Yeah, I was just going to follow those thoughts regarding the collaboration event that we did, the first one that we did. You were on that one, Adam. It was March, I think, the first one was.
I don't think I was on the first one. I think I was on the next one you did. Yeah,
so the first one, I really enjoyed the first one, because I said from the start, I was like, look, we're going to do a new style event. Obviously we're bang in the middle of a lockdown in March this year. There was so many kind of networking events, there was so much going on Zoom and stuff, and I was like, right, yes, we want to host our own one, but we need to do it in a way that just isn't perceived as another networking event or another Zoom call that people have got to commit to. So we basically laid out a plan and made it focused on the collaborations, and we sent out obviously invites several months before. We sent out ongoing information leading up to it. We gathered the attendees' information into a simple document, and we sent that out beforehand so everyone knew who was going to be on the call beforehand. So we didn't have to log in with, as Yinch said, I think there was 40 people on the first one, and we didn't have to do that 2-minute introductions, who's who, because 40 people, that's going to take up the whole hour call. So we jumped straight into it and just talked about problems and issues, and got people talking and collaborating, which is the whole point in what we're doing. And it was quite nice to sit there and watch it happen live, which was good fun.
Good. Now we've just had a question come up.
I know.
It's Mr. Murphy. How do you see Conex developing as we return to normal? I'm showing it on the screen. And that's that.
There's such thing as normal.
There's normal. I don't think there is. I think there's the new normal, whatever you want to call it, but there's going to be different.
I think there is room for, obviously the initial introduction through Zoom have been good, and I don't think that's really going to change. I think there's always going to be now a case for, do we have to drive however far we've got to drive to meet up? Could we just do a quick intro over Zoom and then get to a point of meeting up face to face? I mean, myself and Casper have done that a number of times. We've had some Zoom meetings with various projects, and then we've advanced that to face to face further down the line. In terms of events, I think there's an advancement needed in terms of Zoom events. I think they will become a bit of a thing of the past, essentially. But if there's a way that you can incorporate that into the face-to-face, let's face it, everyone's missed face-to-face. Everyone wants to get back to it as soon as possible. So the way that we're looking to do things is, again, doing things progressively, doing things different to normal, but we're going to work out a way to do face-to-face events along with some sort of hybrid overlap somewhere. Because I'm based down in Cornwall, we're gonna have a Cornwall event at some point, but I can't expect everyone from all over the other side of the country who are members to drive all the way down to Cornwall for a 3-4 hour event. It's just not feasible. But if we have some sort of hybrid setup where people can log in and potentially network with people live, people online at the same time, then there's definitely scope for that as well. Not all of our events are going to be in Cornwall, I will say that as well. We will be doing them around the country, so we will be getting face-to-face for as many people as we can. Of course, everyone can come down to Cornwall for a holiday if they want.
Yeah.
Seems to be what everyone else is doing at the moment.
I suppose that brings in with Angela and what she's trying to do with the UK festivals and stuff like that, but also with what you've already done with Yinch and the Conex Portal as well in the VR side. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to expand a little bit more on the VR side and thoughts around that at this particular point, or do you want to leave it to a little bit later? I'm easy.
No, we can go into that now, because obviously we're talking about events. So the first event we did, collaborative, focusing on the struggles people were facing and seeing if there was anyone else in the room that could solve them. And as I said, it was quite nice to sit back almost and watch people talk and connect, and you know, it almost kind of hammered home that what we're doing is needed and it is right, because people are struggling unless there are people, you know, on their doorstep that can help them. They don't realise. Second event followed the same sort of pattern. I think we got up to 48 members on the second one, which was good. It was almost getting to a point where it needs to be face to face, because, you know, when there's 50 people trying to jump in on a kind of collaboration style event and trying to help each other, it was fun to flick between 3 screens, see who was wanting to interact. And then the third one, so we're planning a face to face one towards the end of the year. We didn't want to do another Zoom one because we were coming to the end of lockdown. It was all, you know, let's do something different. So Yinch showed me a program. It was probably 6 weeks before, and we had a little session in there and we had a little wander around, and we were thinking, is there anything that we could do here with this space and kind of opening it up a little bit more, and at the end of the day showcasing what our members are up to and how they operate. And yeah, as soon as Yinch showed me FrameVR, I think I got very excited and was in there for hours just playing around with it once he left, and then using my headset and all sorts of stuff. I'll let Yinch explain a little bit more about that side of things.
Well, actually, I've got it. Before we get to Yinch, I'm going to ask Casper. Did you attend the Conex VR? Right.
Yeah,
so what I want to do is actually, you from your viewpoint, tell me what you thought about that side, and then we'll come to the expert in Yinch.
It was brilliant. I dragged all my mates in there. We had a little walk around, and when I say mates, I took my still my corporate engineering friends, which, you know, is still working for larger corporate companies, and they loved it. It was amazing. I think as a first one, it was, it was ticked all the boxes. I would like to speak to Yinch actually on a separate note. I like the augmented reality thing, especially when, as a designer, which work with a lot of models, seeing how things work, getting your hands in there. I think, if you can bring that in as well, and people can start touching and picking things up as well, it will add another level of, another dimension. But I think it's a bit, I don't know, where I'll let him expand on that. But walking around and also clicking on like the spinning logo and then goes to your website, there's little Easter eggs that wasn't obvious. And then you just tell people, click on the link, and off he goes, and he goes to watch your company video. And it also, as you said before, Zoom is a single point discussion, where this was multiple points. I could take people onto the balcony and chat. I was told off once. I stood on the other side of the room and I was talking too loud, so I had to move into one of the squares.
You were chatting to Angela, and I was in the other side of the room, and I could still hear you.
And we're both quite loud, so yeah. But no, it was fantastic, and I do think it's a first step, towards a new sort of meeting sort of environment. But they just released a new environmental report, and it's dire. So if you can have a local Cornwall meeting where people from Scotland can just VR in, then it cuts down that travel, and it's sort of you do your bit to help out. And I do say that that's going to be the new normal. That's why Mr. Murphy put it in brackets, because we have to adapt. Otherwise, we're just going to head down the end of the cliff.
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely.
no, fantastic.
Yeah, no, that was my opinion. Superb. So I'm just going to come to Yinch now, because Yinch was...
I don't want to make it seem like I sort of invented anything here. I should probably clarify that FrameVR is an existing VR platform at FrameVR.io. I'm a user of that platform rather than a developer of that platform. When I have been trying to find turnkey solutions for spatial collaboration, and when I found this, it ticked the most boxes. It didn't tick all the boxes. Certain things that even Casper has described about the level of interaction, it can't do. But as a first experience for people, I think it's superb. I think it's very easy to use. You can expand on it yourself. To Stephen's question about about Zoom and the likes may well turn out to be a silly fad. There is I'm with him. I think that we were all brought into the Zoom lifeboat because the pandemic fell on us really suddenly. It was like an evacuation measure. Everybody said, what floats? And everybody just jumped off the Titanic into this lifeboat. And for lots of organizations for whom they did it, who I don't think are so committed to remote collaboration, they want to keep using Zoom, although it is actually I describe it as like a crippled product. It was designed as it's a video conferencing software, and it bears the mark of solving that specific problem of like a group meeting, and everything else you want to do with it is really bad at. It doesn't have the whiteboard built in. You have to pay extra for the webinars. So Zoom as a solution, is not necessarily optimized to the patterns of usage that have emerged around it. And other platforms have turned up. Remo is a very good one for I like that quite a lot. But in the same way, I don't want to throw Zoom under the bus here because it was very convenient to use. It solved the problem very, very quickly. When the Titanic's sinking, you don't choose which lifeboat, you just hop into one, and then you're glad to be alive. But I think as we go through time, as people start asking more out of the remote collaboration, platforms like FrameVR will offer certain things that Zoom can't. And I mentioned that first, but also to say that FrameVR itself is also not optimized for the patterns of things that people want to do. It's a good second step, but really one of the things that the software industry has as a responsibility is to find out the pain points that everybody has discovered from using Zoom and using FrameVR and making new software to address the needs of the users. This is always has to be the mission. And so I love FrameVR. I love that it works right out of the box, that anybody can visit it from any device. But I also know that it is inside an artificially constrained, in the same way that Zoom isn't the only way to do video conferencing, Frame isn't the only way to do spatial collaboration. Both these things are like first landings. They're really kind of like phase one or like prototype level, experimental level instances, and they are the most popular and the most well-known, but they shouldn't be the last thing we try in those phases. The thing I like about them is that it's given people a taste for using it. I'm very excited that Casper liked it and brought friends, and that you liked it, Adam, and you started doing your own, and Sam liked it. And so it's a good sign. That it catches on is a really, really good sign. But I also want people to imagine what else they want to do with it, and not to hesitate to say, this bit works okay, this bit doesn't. What else is there? Because it is absolutely, I'm sure you will know this in manufacturing, that if something doesn't exist, that's not the problem. That's the business. And software is the same. If something doesn't exist, you're almost glad something doesn't exist, because it means that something else needs to be done. And so I encourage people to try out FrameVR, but also to dream bigger than what those tools can do, and not to hesitate to speak to people like myself to find out what other tools might exist. And if you don't exist, and we can make what needs to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing, anybody wants to try it, because Yinch knows, and Sam and Casper know, I've actually set up this VR within Frame now with New Way Growth, one of my businesses, and I've got a McLaren in there, 3D model. I've got an AC Cobra. I've got a Predator, the old Predator, Alien versus Predator, and the old Predator with Schwarzenegger. I've got one of those statues in there. I've got a sci-fi thing, and then I've done a number of different things, just playing and testing and messing about with it. But you can go to that, to bit.ly NWG VR, and just drop into it and have a look, so you can have a play around with that. the thing for me is, and I'm just going to highlight this, is that Steve was saying that it's very hard to do things like whiteboard and post-it, brainstorming and the like with Zoom. And I'm assuming you're saying with Zoom because we were talking around Zoom in the comments. And that is one of the things that I liked within the FrameVR was the whiteboard side. So you could drop the whiteboard up and the whiteboard's on a wall. You can go up to it, zoom up to it, and then you can start scrolling. You can download it, you can save it. But it wasn't just that, because as we were messing about with it in the networking that I was doing, we were messing about playing noughts and crosses because people were getting used to it. But because of all your positionings, you rotated and turned to the person next to you to talk to them, and then rotated back to the board. So it brought a different dynamic to it. So it became more immersive into the situation, and that's the thing as well around it.
I think there's also in there, obviously, when everyone's kind of experienced using it, there's the potential to give everyone rights to edit and change. So if you're having a specific discussion about a 3D model that isn't in the frame, then someone can upload it there and then. Me and Yinch even talked about this during our kind of video sessions. Should we drop in 3D models in front of everyone while people are talking? I think we got slightly put off by the kind of learning curve that it would have involved. But yeah, there's so much potential. Like you can be in the room, people can upload images of work, people can upload all sorts of stuff as they're discussing, and I think there's a lot.
Well, that's talking about that. That's exactly what happened within the network, and we had Sarah in the networking I did. I run some networking, and I brought and pulled him all into this to get some feedback. Do another one on Friday morning, and Sarah's an interior designer. And she deals with some big interior design businesses. So she does this 3D modeling. So what I actually did was I went onto Thingiverse, got hold of a 3D model of a lounge, converted it, and dropped it in for her to go in and see, to have a look at, and say, this is what you can do with it. This is how you can utilize it. You can bring your people in instead of traveling hundreds of miles with a 3D model to discuss. You can discuss it here. You can rotate and do whatever you want with it. It is fantastic from that side. So again, it's that another aspect of Conex Portal and this collaboration. I think just works. It works.
I think what we're trying to do is, again, we've got no association with Frame. With like the interest saying, it's a product. It's available for us to use, and we wanted to use it because we saw it had potential. And at the end of the day, we're going to keep doing that with anything that we can find that advances the manufacturing space forward. We just want to open doors. And I think that we've kind of proved that. Yinch introduced me to Frame. I set up an event with Frame, and now you're going ahead, Adam, and using it for your own networking events and stuff. And that's, it's adding value to what you do. And that's the sort of thing that we're going to keep doing and keep focusing on, and just trying to expand and, help and support where we can, basically.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So anything else? Is there anything else we want to cover?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Related around Conex, and obviously it's very organic the way that we're growing things. People have to align with our ethos, as I was saying earlier. The biggest struggle of this is that perception of, well, you're just another directory, you're just another lead generating company, or whatever it may be. And for us, it's that. There's a barrier there that is almost a kind of educational process that we have to go through. So we have to speak to everyone that we're bringing on board and explaining how it works and how we operate and that sort of thing. So I was kind of just wondering your ideas and thoughts and potential solutions to remove that kind of pre-made perception of what we may be.
Were you asking everybody? I'm going to speak first because I'm going to speak first because I probably I'm the least expert, so I should go first. That's how I'm thinking about it. I think what I've learned as when I was starting various ventures is just getting the message out is a whole thing by itself. And actually, one of my questions for you, Sam, is that if Conex Portal became very, very visible, would there be people trying to get onto the network that you would turn away because they didn't qualify, they were not the right sort of fit? Have you so that's like a second question after the first question, because I think that events like you did with the FrameVR event creates like a lot of visibility. But you almost, in the same way that your exposure is you want a kind of a screen exposure, but you don't want it to be too small as well. Word of mouth obviously is excellent, but I think what you do is so important that, and also I guess my question to you is that if this isn't a directory, which it isn't, what is it most like? Is it like a gym? Is it like a club you join? Is it like a school? Is it like an academy? If it's not a directory, what is it? Because casual people who are casual in the space will latch onto vocabulary. We can't think of a new word. We can only think of this is like a kindergarten, or this is like this is like a horse race, or this is like a Formula One event, or this is like a football match. So if Conex Portal is in the directory, then what is it? Portal is still like a general word. I know it's not inaccurate, but people will be saying, what and you might have the same problem I have, which is that the thing you've made is completely new. There isn't a label for it. It is only similar to rather than exactly like something else. But what is the thing that you can the most associate with? Oh, fellowship. Excellent. Thanks, Stephen. I like that.
I'll use that. Yeah, no, I think me and Adam had this conversation months ago, actually, saying that we need to get the perception across that, yes, it's not a membership group as such. It's not a directory. It's again, don't know the word, but it's a group of manufacturing companies that actually get stuff done. So people can come to us with a problem, we will solve it. We know people that can solve it. And that's the kind of long-term aim of this, is when we get to our good kind of core membership, we get to our almost critical mass, if you like, of members, so it's all sustainable within the group, and everyone's sharing and working together, that we can start working on larger projects, because people see us as those guys get stuff done. They're all within this kind of fellowship of manufacturers, and they're good at what they do because they've built this kind of trusted network, and we can help with some very large projects going forward. And that's kind of what we're trying to get across. And yes, it is pre-vetted, and there have been people that I have turned away in answer to that question. I won't go into any more detail because,
Okay.
Yeah. Casper.
Yeah. So for me, what it is well, there's a couple of things really. So first of all, like we said earlier, it doesn't discriminate. Everyone, doesn't matter what the size of the company is. Everyone's got a role to play, and everyone is invited and engaged with equally. I would say never lose that, because irrespective of what you call yourself, I'll let you and your marketing sort that out. I'm part of a fellowship as well, and to be honest, sometimes these things grow so much that they start relying on artificial intelligence to answer questions and emails, and your human interaction sort of becomes less and less, because it's harder work. It takes a lot more. But I think what you guys are doing with the VR solves that, because you can be in a Conex event where you pop around and see people and pop up on the big screen and say hello to everyone, but people can still function within, either they are adopters or not, or they bring people in, it doesn't matter. But there's that sort of personal touch which it caters for small and larger SMEs and bring people together. And I think that's what it is. That's what sort of gives it its heart and soul for me. And I say, if you go bigger, try and not lose that. Putting a label on it, it will grow into its own thing. But what you're doing now, keep doing it, and as you grow, it will put yourself aside from those. I don't know what the other ones are. I don't even know about them, to be honest. But there is larger institutions which are signed up to, and as small SME, I'm lost in. So I would say, that sort of blanket cover. Everyone's got a skill to contribute, and you having the connection with everyone. That's, to me, that was really important and helped out, especially in the first year.
I think with to add on to both Yinch and Casper in saying that, is for me, it's about that progressive. I don't know whether my internet is playing up, but it's about that progressive work and that collaboration work, and that's what it's about. And everything you do is how you've got it is community and collaboration. The way that you did the Conex Portal exhibition, communicating with people, getting things going, moving across, and even down to certainly, I mean, Mr. Murphy's sending us messages, even that agility to when you were doing the guest speaker roles is that I know I'm going to quote because this is what he said. He was a Luddite on technology, and I know he's on the chat and he's a good mate of mine, though we've never met. He was a Luddite on technology on the Tuesday, but on the was it on the Wednesday? I think it was. He was up on the big screen using the tannoy and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it was your Twitter
sort of
hour.
side.
It was your Twitter hour.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve. I know you're listening. He was saying he didn't see it catching on. He didn't quite understand it. And then, as I say, on Wednesday, he sent me a message. Oh, can I do a guest speaker slot? And he was there all day.
And that did make me giggle. That did, and that is the thing for me. That's what it's about. And it was like straight away, get up, straight up, and that accommodation in doing that. It asked you the question, got involved with it, and it's up and done. And that for me is collaboration. That's for me is how we should be operating. Not
keyword.
It is. Yeah, and I've seen people use collaboration, and it means absolutely jack shit to them, and that annoys the hell out of me. So we do want collaborations. That's what we want. Now, the other thing that brought it around for me is when I start thinking around this is a lot of the funding. Is you take Conex Portal, a lot of the funding that goes for SMEs in business and manufacturers gets given to the universities, and the universities distribute it out, which then SMEs that can help other SMEs can't access it without going through the university, and even then not necessarily access it. So we stifle this growth element within the SMEs. Now, I was wondering whether from a Conex Portal point of view, as a collaboration, as a community, whether you could actually in the future actually look to grab hold of that funding and operationally distribute it across the SMEs to drive the manufacturing SMEs within the community. And that's another thing that I had in the back of my head as well.
Yeah, you're preempting my plans and my vision. That's all right. For us, it's right now the focus is getting the core community set up and getting this group of manufacturers. And yes, we're not gonna massively scale. We're not looking to get tens of thousands of companies. I've said that from the start, and that's not going to change. We want to get it to a point where we can put essentially a kind of break on that growth, and we can really focus on the members and focus on what they're getting out of it, and adding as much value as we possibly can to those guys. And then we might think, okay, so we've now got this kind of sustainable model rolling for this, core community, if you like. There's loads of work coming in. People now realize that we get stuff done. People are inquiring, people are sending projects, and that's growing that way. Then we can think, right, how do we now scale this up a little bit more, and doing it in stages rather than just almost getting greedy and just going for let's bring on every single manufacturing company. And we don't want to operate like that. We want to make sure that everyone we're working with is getting value out of it, because otherwise you'll just lose a load of members after a year and then you'll be back to where you started. And that's I don't see the point in that.
Quality over quantity. It's it's just one of the things that it's hard to do. It's tempting because numbers are easy to understand. Quality is just this amorphous thing. Sometimes the difference between like something that you can trust versus 100 things that you can't. I mean, 100 sounds better. It just sounds like a bigger number. We have, it's almost, it's hard for us to quantify quality. And so when you say the advantage of Conex Portal over the other systems is that it has a higher quality of network. In this and in lots of things, how to prove your quality or to promote the fact that your network has high quality is like the whole messaging battle, because people literally, they would have no time to check. They would say, okay, I'm looking at these like 10 networking sites. This one has 5,000 members, 2,000 members, 1,000 members, 500 members, 100 members, 5,000 members. Literally, this is what, dare I say, CFOs are in charge. They'll say, if the CFO asks you, why do you choose that one? You say, oh, I chose that one. It's got the biggest number. So you almost need to, if you wanted to like appeal to like a bigger organization, you need some number where you are like the biggest number somehow. I don't know what that number is. You have to talk in their language a little bit, and your biggest number will not be the size of your network. it just won't, and it never will be. It's uncatchable, and it's not worth doing. But if you had a way to say that this is like, so when we were doing the FrameVR event, for instance, I was very keen to speak to the people at FrameVR to say whether we could say we are the biggest event of this sort ever held on the platform, because I want us to be, I want us to have some superlative that we could associate with it. And so in the same way, I think Conex Portal is the best in a number of metrics that perhaps people aren't looking at yet. And if we could just promote those metrics, then it becomes clear that Conex is like a sort of it is peerless in that space.
It's like, I think there's another, and I can't remember this spot on. I think would you want 100 followers, 50 people that are indifferent to you, or 50 people that are absolutely your raving loyal fans? When it's that 50, the raving loyal fans, because it's just robust, strong.
It's a lasting network for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it.
You talk about a metric. Good metric would be to measure it is, connections made that led to projects. That's a really strong metric too. Because if I'm looking at this and I look at someone who's got 5,000 members, but this one has 150 projects that led over the last 12 months to actual contract work or collaboration, I will automatically be drawn to it, because I know that there's, that pond, there's fish in it. You know what I mean? Whereas like the other ones we spoke about is 5,000 members, but it's like on LinkedIn, you can get these B2B guys that just flood you with people that's going to follow you, but it means nothing. It might as well be a robot. Probably is, to be honest.
It should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, should we draw it to a close there? Because I think that's a good time to finish. Sam, is there anything you want to say to finish off with?
No, not really. I think that's got everything across that we needed to. I think it's a nice conversation to have. It's a collaborative conversation at the end of the day, which is what we're trying to achieve. So, yeah, if there is anyone watching this that wants to have I'm open to speak to anyone. I'll book some time and have a phone call. We can meet, whatever it may be. I'm open to speaking to as many people as possible about this. So,
drop into the VR portal.
I'll
tell you, I'm not kidding you. I've been doing one-to-ones in there the past few days. I tell you, it brings in a different dynamic. So, drop into the VR portal. It's brilliant. Great. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. It's been great talking.
Nice to speak to everybody.
And thank you very much for anybody who's watching and watching.
Cheers.